So I felt called to ordination when I was just 8 or 9 years old. I grew up in a Baptist church where women were not ordained, so it wasn't something that people could support for me. But I felt a real sense of clarity and call when I was just in the third grade. And I know this because I wrote about it in my little composition folder. And that's actually what reminded me many years later to follow the call. If 50 years hadn't happened, I don't think I would have been able to really even begin to imagine uh, what my life would look like. Because I didn't grow up in a context where women were ordained, it really was the Episcopal Church and Episcopal women that I looked to as a model. And so I'm so grateful. Not, it wasn't like a new fad when I was thinking about this back in 2006. It was something that was well established and really affirmed this call that I had felt for a long time. I found the Episcopal Church two ways. One, I was at Candler School of Theology, and there were the Episcopal Church welcomes you signs posted on the street that literally led you to St. Bart's. And I was curious about this church. And at the same time, I had just come out as a queer person, and Bishop Gene Robinson was being ordained and consecrated as a bishop. And so I had this model on TV, on the news, of somebody who was gay, who was in the church, who was being ordained. And I had these signs, like I could not see the signs, like staring me in the face saying, follow this way, go to the Episcopal Church. And I did. I followed the signs. I was the first ever out person of color ever ordained in the Diocese of Atlanta. And then, 10 years later, I ran for office and became another first. I became the first out state senator ever elected in Georgia. And I will say this, as I think about the 50th anniversary and the courage that was required of those women to be first, I'm so grateful because I think it made me not need as much courage. Like, I'd seen the glass ceiling broken and all these other spaces, and so it felt freeing, right? Like it just wasn't as big of a deal because I knew that lots of other people had first, and that this would be something that the church could receive and welcome. And I also want to highlight, like, I was ordained in 2010 in Atlanta, which is really the Black gay Mecca. So for it to take that long to get an out queer person, it does say something about the church and where we were, but also where we're going, which I think is really exciting. And the same is true. It's been my honor to represent the people of Georgia in the state senate for 4 years. And I spent 4 years as being the only, and this year I won't be. There will be another out gay person serving with me in the Senate. So there's movement happening. And as more people who are of diverse backgrounds get ordained, get elected, show up in these different ways, I think it makes us all better, and it makes us better reflect what the body of Christ is. So if you are discerning a call to ordain ministry, do it with boldness, knowing that there are lots of people around you who will support you. If this is where God is calling you, know that the church will rally and help you with that. And also be open to lots of different ways of expressing that ministry. I think so often we think about being investment, standing behind an altar with our arms up and wearing all the beautiful things. But the priesthood, it looks differently. It does. It looks like wearing a hat out in the middle of a park, serving people who are experiencing homelessness. It looks like serving in a state senate. It looks like working at a mayor's house or being in a jail or a prison. Being a priest, this vocation is huge. And so don't stifle yourself or limit yourself to this one image, but know that God can call you to live and express this vocation in a multitude of ways.